Okay, so tell me this, Edward. When you were growing up, did you hear voices tell you and warn you to do something or not to do something, warn you not to go someplace, or told you don't do this because you were doing something you shouldn't be doing? Or
I never did anything I shouldn't have been doing.
okay, I don't believe that.
Me either. But I for sure would get guidance, like with the school bus, and they just built this new fresh dirt road.
Sure.
And it was super, super high. It was super, super long, but it was all dirt. And our bus driver was trying to get across it, and I saw like 30 construction guys losing their mind with her. And they were like, oh my God, oh, like this. And I was like looking out the window down at the bottom of the big hill, and I heard a man's voice outside of me say, leave school after lunch today. And I looked around like little Jimmy went through puberty overnight, because this was elementary school.
Oh, yeah.
And it wasn't. There were no men on the bus. And the men outside of the bus were way on the other side of the ravine. And I just went to looking back out the window again. And then outside of me, louder and more booming.
It got more intense,
yes,
right?
And it was like, leave school after lunch today.
That's right.
And I'm like, okay. I remember because it was chocolate oatmeal cookie day.
Oh.
I wasn't going to leave school till I had my chocolate oatmeal homemade cookie.
Okay.
And I forgot about it. I completely forgot the whole thing. Had lunch. And as soon as I finished my lunch, I remembered, like, I got a download. And I was like,
oh, yeah, it's like a download.
Yeah, and I was a kid that I was the good kid.
Yeah, I was a good kid.
I did everything I was told and tried to do it better than anybody else so that I wouldn't get in trouble.
Of course.
And now I'm going to my teacher and saying to her, Miss Swift, I'm like, Miss Swift, I have to go to the office. I'm sick. And I just started crying, just tears. And then I went to the office and they called Mom. Mom picked me up, and as soon as I saw my mom, I really started crying. And she took me to Grandma's house, and Grandma put me behind the wood stove. Very loving grandmother. I'm not going to talk about her mustache. And put me behind the wood stove, and then she sent me outside to snap peas under the 2 oak trees on a pallet with a 5-gallon slop bucket snapping peas. And I heard the back door slam, and you didn't make direct eye contact with my grandma. It's like those raptors from Jurassic Park. You know better. And she comes walking out, and I can feel her energy, and I'm snapping peas like a mofo, snapping. And I'm looking down, and then I could see the holes in her tennis shoes standing there, her garden shoes, we called them. And she said, what bus do you ride? And I told her my bus number, and she's like, I knew you weren't sick today. And I went, ma'am? And she said, your bus just fell off a cliff. And she turned around, and she walked right back in the house and never said another word. And I thought, dang, when Mama gets here, she's going to tell Mama that I'm going to get a whipping. I don't know why, but that's just what you do in the South. I love you. Give me 3 switches.
I know.
And Mama never talked about it. Grandma never talked about it.
So they all know that it was in your family.
Yeah, 3 generations on one side and some mental illness and schizophrenia on my dad's side. But that was the most profound one. But I have heard them my whole life.